Okay, hoping to finish the opposing viewpoint, white-collar crime, book 2, how does money laundering occur and what can stop it? Viewpoint 3, which is actually titled Money Laundering is Embedded. No, it's actually viewpoint 4, my mistake. Banks should not be responsible for monitoring money laundering. I'm getting a little opinionated in this reading. So here's more from the story. Thousands of others were listed on the database, which dates from 2014, only because they were relatives of friends or minor public figures. Maud Windsor was listed at 9 months old. The apparent justification was that she was a family member of a politically exposed person, a reference to her father, who is the son of Prince Michael of Kent and 43rd in line to the throne. Other British PEPs on the database include Sir Neil Cossins, a historian and former chairman of English Heritage. Heather Wheeler, a Conservative MP listed on the database, told Parliament this year that her bank of 30 years informed her that she was high risk and that it would not deal with her anymore and that it was closing my account. These absurd results are driven by government policies that force financial institutions to treat all customers as potential crooks. And given the huge fines that are being levied on banks and other firms, you can understand why they drop customers and charge high fees. They are forced to act defensively. Thomas Reuters, a media company that makes millions of pounds compiling and selling the database, does not inform individuals that they are included, and banks have no obligation to tell clients why they have been denied services. Many financial institutions have become risk averse. You have an arms race where there's an immense pressure to build a robust database. One expert on WorldCheck said they'll pack this database with as many names of individuals as possible. You end up getting a ton of false positives. True. FS status, frequently demagogue against so-called tax havens for supposedly being hotbeds of dirty money, but take a look at this map put together a few years ago by the Institute of Governance, and you'll find only one supposed haven among the 28 nations listed. PPS, you probably didn't realize that you could make a joke involving money laundering, but here's one featuring former President Obama, and it's some WordPress. Barack Obama's bank adventure. PPPS, when you look at the real-world horror stories that result from these laws, you realize that the current system on money laundering is no laughing matter. And PPPS, you won't be surprised to learn that the statists have learned the wrong lesson. They see the AML laws have been a failure and think the right response is to go nuclear and ban cash entirely. So that's the end of this. It seems like it's shifted to a lot of opinion, but it's kind of true, more so, not so based on that, but more so based on this statement right here that money laundering fits under the definition of vague law because unlike murder or robbery, it is not a crime of an act, but one of intent. And I bring that up again, I read that again, because there's the maybe just the FATF has created 40 recommendations of crimes that make up money laundering, and I don't think I have it quickly at hand, but I'm going to try to pull it up and just give a list of what has been criminalized, or what FATF recommends is criminalized. And again, going back to the fact that it's intent-based rather than act-based means that if there's, you could wind up in jail like Lula da Silva pretty easily, which is why it's a bit of a concern. So here's your 40 recommendations, but what are the enumerated crimes? Here you have designated categories of offenses means participation in an organized criminal group and racketeering, terrorism, including terrorist financing, human trafficking and human beings and migrant smuggling, sexual exploitation, including sexual exploitation of children, illicit trafficking of narcotic drugs and psychotropic substances, illegal arms trafficking, illicit trafficking of stolen and other goods, corruption and bribery, fraud, counterfeiting currency, counterfeiting and pirating of products, environmental crime, murder, grievous bodily injury, kidnapping, illegal restraint and hostage taking, robbery or theft, smuggling, extortion, forgery, piracy, and insider trading and market manipulation. So all of these have been abused in like prosecutorially. So, for instance, the definition of bribery, corruption, bribery has been used against, movie or television stars that have provided or that have donated money to schools to get their children to be in attendance at those schools, and spent time behind bars. And same with, say, for instance, extortion. Extortion is such a broad term. These are just enumerated offenses or suggested enumerated offenses. So if you're using a word like extortion without any other definition of what exactly is the kind of extortion that is meant to be enumerated, you really could have like any type of quid pro quo of any value. And that's why this is dangerous when it's overregulated in such this way. Because Silva, clearly was put into prison on the basis of corruption. And corruption it doesn't set forth what elements have to be met, and the evidence appears to have not met that threshold, according to the writer. So that concludes Book 2, How Does Money Laundering Occur and What Can Stop It, from opposing viewpoints on white-collar crime.